That is a tune, mate. Welcome back to E20 Zone TV. We thought we'd do a video, talk about the latest transfers. To my right is Lucas. You know who he is, all the way from Maryland, the US of A. Lucas, how are you doing?
I am good. The links are flying. The bids are coming in. Whether they're good bids or strategical, that is up to everyone else to decide. But it
Yeah,
seems our business is finally starting to get underway, which is positive.
it is positive, but dropping in bids that seems want double the amount of what you're offering is a bit of a worry. But we're going to get into it. Let's start off with this. Fulham reject £45 million bid for Paulinho. Talk to me, Lucas.
Um, yeah, I don't know why, but I wasn't really like expecting news on that today. But
Mm,
I think there was whispers of something yesterday that we were planning on putting in a bid today, and yeah, 45 million in total. I think it was 40 plus 5.
yeah.
I I actually think that's a decent like opening offer, and this is from Jacob Steinberg and several other sources, I think from the Athletic as well. But I think in terms of negotiation, that's a decent opening bid. I really don't think Fulham want 80 million pound for Paulinho. I think they're playing the game. This isn't like a an Arsenal Declan Rice situation where we're completely undervaluing the player.
Mm,
So I think it's a decent opening offer. In my personal opinion, I think Fulham's evaluation isn't like isn't terrible because one, it is their player. They deem they deem his value, and we'd look like hypocrites if we were to criticize that. But I've always said 50 million pound for this club in our current situation where we're at. I think 50 is the highest we can go, like not a pence over, in my opinion. But I don't disagree. I personally think he's a 67 million pound player. I think he's that good, but that's just my opinion. But like I said, where we're at as a club right now, I really don't
mm.
want us to spunk all of our money on Paulinho when we should be looking to get about, in my opinion, three players with that Rice money.
Well, it's got to be
So
in it. It has to be like it has to be three quality players and all. And for me, I don't understand West Ham's logic. I really don't. They know Fulham want 50, was it 80 million or 90 million at the start? Now it's gone down to 80 million. Why would you, if you're going to put a serious bid in, you go and put in something like 55, 60 million. If you really want this man, that's what you go and do. You don't go and drop in 45 million when you know. It does feel to me that it's going to be like it's rejected straight away. It's like a bid just to make it look like they're doing something. Yeah. Um. Obviously, I'm not on the train with Paulinho, so I'm not really fussed either way. But I'm just a bit nervous, mate. That West Ham are not really making serious bids for players. That to me is not a serious bid. If West Ham would have put in 55 million for him, to me that's a serious bid because they really want the player. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
I just think that's the art of negotiations, whether you like it or not. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what Arsenal done with Declan Rice, some people negotiate that way, some others don't. But I don't think we were too far off or insulting with our first bid, and it has been reported from Rashane Thomas and Steinberg as well, or Ornstein. I can't remember which one, but I don't think we're going back in for a second bid. Or they said a second bid is unlikely, which I don't blame West Ham. I think it's a, a little unfortunate with some of the midfielders we've been linked with because I do think he's the perfect guy to come in and fill the void because I look at him as like the perfect safety blanket for the squad. And whether people think he's good enough or not, in my opinion, what he provides as a CDM, like he just opens up the rest of the attack in the midfield to go forward. Like I think he's good enough defensively that
Yeah.
he can man the back by himself. And for example, have someone like Alex Scott who's more of a attacking eight. He's like an eight
Yeah.
kind of a 10, allows him to go forward and stay up the pitch. And if we get countered, Paulinho will put in a world class tackle or win the ball back. So again, I get everyone's opinion, and again, at the end of the day, it's all opinions. People fancy certain players and whatnot, but for me, £50 million would be the absolute most I would go in terms of like wisely spending the money.
So the thing is, for me, before we sort of move on, and Taylor, if you're in the chat, I've sent you the link if you want to come on and have your say about anything. Um, I just don't feel it's a serious bid. I don't know. I just don't. It just don't feel like a serious bid to me. 45 million for him when Fulham want 80 is. And Fulham have got the control. They've got him on a 5-year deal, I think, or 4-year deal plus a year's
I think
extension.
with that, I think we should go in for a second bid because then that will actually tell us what like Fulham value him at. Like in
Yeah,
my opinion, I really don't think they value him at £80 million. That's just my personal opinion. We would know a lot more if we go in with 50, and if they reject 50, then we really know they value him highly, because
yeah.
if they don't bite on 50, which would be more than a 50% profit on what they got him for, then they do rate him that highly, and we just would have to leave. I personally wouldn't go one and done, but that's just me.
See, I understand that from Redders. Yeah, we're trying to get the price down, James. But the thing is, I understand that, but dropping in low ball bids is just it's not serious enough, is it? Like if they're
And,
offering him 80 million, then like you just said, just say for argument's sake, West Ham went 55 with him, right? It's tempting, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
It's a tempting bid, but 45 million for him isn't really, and that's
and
only
if
10 million difference.
it helps. Steinberg has also said, I forgot to mention this, that he thinks personally, and I do trust Jacob Steinberg because he's one of the more reliable sources, right under Fabrizio and Ornstein, in my opinion. I think he's practically tier one. But
Yeah,
he said he thinks 50 would get it done. He thinks that's the magic number, and I've said that for some time as well. I think 50 would get it done, but again, we won't know if we don't go in with a second bid. But yeah, again, just opinions at the end of the day. Some people rather have Alvarez, and we can touch on Alvarez a little bit if you want. It doesn't bother me, but
yeah.
yeah, I think it'd be a shame if we weren't able to get PALHINHA, because I do think he would open up a kind of a new side and tactical progression for us on the pitch.
Yeah, I agree, mate. I really do. 2 up, 2 down. I think they're playing us with the price, knowing we've got the Rice money. That is the only problem. Someone said that to me before. Now people know we've got money.
Yeah,
Um,
and we all knew that would happen. We all knew.
it's a thing. James Collins, I'll sign you, mate. Back. Trust me, we need a fucking leader. We need someone who's just. We just need to. I just want to see some action at West Ham. That's anything I will say. I'm just. I don't know about you. All right, maybe it's me. Maybe it's just me and fucking my mental state. Yeah, but it don't feel good at West Ham at the minute for me. It just feels like it's sluggish. Like I want to see a signing, so like something to boost us up for the new season. The new season starts in 4 weeks' time. Like I'm not being funny, and in 4 weeks that will soon fly around,
Yeah.
and like I want to see some signings at West Ham. I just
There's
not
a
seeing
lot
it.
of different like things to think about. If Moyes is actually the one doing these transfers, you got to think he's in
Yeah.
Australia. He's on a time difference. Are we really going to get that much business done while he's away? If Steiden is doing the work and Sullivan is, then I would find that a bit more concerning, because they're back
It's
on
the
regular
link,
time.
yeah, but what it is, Lucas, yeah, it's the links to these players. These players don't feel like Stein's players. Sorry, right? It just don't feel like it. Do you know what I mean? It feels like they're Moyes' players, if anything, and Stein's just not doing anything at the minute.
And
Do you know what I mean?
I said this on the space yesterday. We're in a weird spot because
Yeah,
Moyes does have a year left on his contract, and of course, Moyes does want to stay at West Ham. In my opinion, I think he wants to be here as long as he was at Everton. I think he truly does love the club, and it's a tough situation where he has to not only think about the future, but he also has to think about surviving this year to possibly get another contract. You know what I mean? I don't think he wants to move on. I think he wants to stay at West Ham. So it's a bit of a tricky situation until he gets that new contract. You know what I mean?
yeah. I'll wait for Taylor to sort his stuff out. For me, before I get Taylor in, yeah, is basically I'm just a little bit nervous with it. I ain't gonna lie. I just feel a bit sort of uneasy at the minute. Once we do start seeing some players, then I might be happy. But until that time, he just feels a bit flat. Like, it feels like we've lost our best player, and then we're not really doing much. It's just very slow and sort of predictable at West Ham. We'll say that. Tay, what do you
Good afternoon, boys. How you feeling today?
I'm feeling
Good,
very
mate. How
well,
are you?
mate. I just want to know what you think on all these players today. That we've heard.
I think this was always going to happen. I think it's getting a little bit to the stage now with the journalism part of it where there's so many different sources, because obviously we've always had we've got such a wide list of targets going on, and I think it's not a case of, we're jumping from target to target, etc. These are just the targets of the club. But to talk a little bit about PALHINHA, I was listening to your little back and forth with Lucas. I think Lucas makes some really good points about how PALHINHA is the perfect Declan Rice replacement for me, at least on the defensive side, that is. I mean, for me, he's got that incredible sort of like positional awareness that is so... It's not very common, because I think it transcends the basic function of a DM as well. I mean, the way that he just breaks up play and can just recycle balls back out to the midfield, I think that's what we need. I think that's what we're going to be severely lacking with Rice, and I think that's what's so hard to replace, which is why I really like the idea of PALHINHA, because to me it just screams security. It's, we can get him in and we know the job he's going to do. If we get Edson Alvarez in, sure, I don't really doubt that he would be a decent player for us, but it's just a case of perhaps if and when and how long is that going to take. And to be honest, I think with the position where Moyes is from last season, I don't think he's got time to be messing around.
And it's another transition period that we're going to have to go through, because as much as I don't rate Edson Alvarez, and I hope if he does come to West Ham, I want him to be the best, I doubt if Lucas Paqueta can't make the transition as fast as we wanted, or Scamacca, like I doubt Edson Alvarez is going to hit the ground running sooner than them. That's just my personal opinion. But, and another thing you got to think about with PALHINHA, there are not many midfielders or defensive-minded midfielders in the Premier League that like are brilliant at breaking up play. At the top of my head, I can think of PALHINHA, Rice, Caicedo. Even Conte on his day still is very good. But like, that's one thing with Rodri. Rodri doesn't break up play often because he's always dominant in possession, so you don't see that. But you really got to think there's not many players that are just dominant at breaking up play in terms of interceptions, tackles. Like,
seems to be the new hot topic of the top six now. It's getting in the world-class DMs. I feel like the game's changing.
The thing is with it, though, the only thing I will say is that, like, how far do you go with it? Like, how much money is too much for a DM? Like,
I was having a little... sorry, go on.
Like, don't get me wrong, right? Don't get me wrong. Like, obviously, us selling Rice for 105 million is great, yeah? But I don't want us to replace, have the Rice replacement, like, 60 million. Like, I'd rather go and buy someone for, like, say, like 35, 40 million, like Lavia, for instance, and develop him over a period of time. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I do.
Do you think we need a development player right now? Do you think that's what we really, or do you not feel as though the hole that Rice is going to leave? Do you not think we need somebody who we know is fit, ready, and can do the job?
I don't know, mate. I don't know, really.
I just don't think we're in the state right now as a club to have the best of both worlds, because even I've said this multiple times as well. Kefren Turam, that is like my dream.
Yeah.
If West Ham had some bollocks, put in a 50, 60 million pound bid for him. Even that is just as risky as Lavia, even though his credentials are a bit better. And again, it just seems we're in the state right now where you can't have the best of both worlds. We either need to decide if we want to sustain European prestige and keep fighting and battling to play it every season, or we have to hit the rebuild button and build for the future. It's really hard.
I think we need to
get in the middle.
I think we're there still. I think we're knocking on the door. I think we're right there. I genuinely, and it's like people talk about we need I don't think we need 6 to 7. I think we need at most 4 or 5. I think this team is almost there. You can see it. I mean, our defense is absolutely superb between Aguerd and Zuma when they're fit. We've got a brilliant Bowen in Jared Bowen. He is absolutely superb, and he's going to be the star from West Ham, for me anyways, at West Ham from now on. I feel as though I do respect Fulham's valuation of PALHINha, just because I was having a little debate with elite analyst, friend of the show, earlier on Twitter. And he did make a good point. He said he's a top 5 defensive midfielder in the best league in the world. You've got to respect their asking price. And for me, I do feel a deal could be done at around 50 to 55 million. That, for me as well, is where you walk away. I just feel as though the budget that we might have, I feel we cannot afford to blow 70 million on a player, no matter how fair that valuation might seem to me. We just can't do it.
So the thing is, before we sort of move on from this one, is that when I look at him, I think for his age and for how much they want, we go over to France and find younger players who have got a better sell-on value than him. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. What he's done in the Premier League's great. I get it. I understand that. But I think I disagree. I think we are at a stage of rebuilding, because when you do go through our team, we've got an aging side, like massively aging side, and that's a bit of a problem. I will say that.
So real quick, I ask you, because in my opinion, you can't have your cake and eat it too with Europe. So
Right.
you would and again, I'm not gonna hound you for your opinion, but so you would rather sacrifice Europe and what we've enjoyed the past 3 seasons and just rebuild and look towards the future?
But basically, there's going to come a time when West Ham will have to rebuild. Yeah, and I think really the time is now with the money. I think what you do, you go out and buy the players to develop over a period of time. I don't think you go out and buy the players that are going to be for the short term, but not the long term. Because after 3 years, then where are we going to be? Because we're never going to have this money again.
It's really a bet at the end of the day. Because let's say, God willing, I wouldn't believe it if I seen it or saw it, but we win the Europa League after just winning the Conference League. That's a good chunk of money that we can implement that plan next year if we wanted. I just think we should keep riding the European success as long as we can, because we just don't know
when that's
going to happen again.
That's fine. Listen, I'm with you on that. Yeah, I want West Ham to win the Europa League. Yeah, I'd love us to win the Europa League. There'd be more tears from me. But if you ask me right now, from a betting aspect, do I think West Ham can win the Europa League? The answer to that is no. I just don't think we can. I don't think we've got the strength. I look at other teams are stronger than us. So I would be prepared to have a go in the Europa League with a younger side. And this is what I don't understand, yeah? And I don't know whether Taylor's going to agree with me on this or not, right? But I look at Arteta, people look at Arteta and say, look what he's doing with a younger side. But when we say about doing stuff with a younger side, we can't do that. Like, listen, I can accept West Ham being fucking 10th for the next 2 years. But if I can see us going back to being 10th and then starting to go back up the league again with younger players, then so be it.
And
I see that point, right? But then I look at the latter end and I look at clubs like Southampton, who has some absolutely class players in Livramento. They had Lavia. That's all fallen apart now. And I feel the point that we're at, we've had some absolutely massive characters.
I think what you lads are saying, and I do understand it. I do. It's sustainability. You want West Ham to sustain what they've already got, yeah, and it's very hard for West Ham to do that.
Yeah, and to be fair with what you're saying as well, you would also have to rely on those youngsters if we want to keep European journeys alive. Like you said, you want to a point. They're going to have to push on and try and get us 7th, because we're probably not going to win the Europa League. So if we don't win Europa League, we have to depend on those youngsters to push on for 7th. But again, I'm not expecting us to get to 7th or 6th after the season we just had. But again, I just think a lot of people are trying to have their cake and eat it too. And I think there's only 2 options in the way we can go forward currently. is a club.
I feel we'll get both. I feel we'll get a player in like an Alvarez and a Paulinho, and then I feel as though we'll also look to Stuyden to identify younger targets, saying a Mateus Franco or a
But how
Dario
many
Osorio.
though? That's the thing for me.
This
I
is
do
it, yeah.
I do think there is some sort of middle ground. So for example, like I wouldn't be upset if we got, let's say, I mean, I'm going to use Paulinho as actually I'll use Alvarez as an example because we'll lead on to him and he's in pole position, I guess, to be our main target. But so we get Alvarez, Harward Bellis, Zakaria, and Alex Scott.
Yeah,
Alex Scott, I think you can take a risk on one young player who's going to cost around 20-ish million pounds, who has a very bright ceiling and would probably get some decent playing time, and he could turn into something. I don't think it'd be smart, what some people are saying, to get in like 3 young players with a high ceiling and like one Premier League proven player. I just don't think we're there.
I understand that, but would you say a 24-year-old is young for you?
They're right on the cusp.
Because Fofana, the Monaco player, he's 24. So would you say that is young? Because I do think we have to be going younger, like, because this money that we've got, yeah, it's got to last us for a good while, really.
I would say that is probably the oldest a young player can get.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but once you get to like 25, 26, you should be the player we all thought you were, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Tay, anything you want to say before we move on?
It's more just on the kit. I'd just like to leave on this. It's more just about Declan Rice's replacement. For me, that's not something that you mess around with. I don't really want to put a gamble on it. I feel like it's too big of a hole to take a chance on. I feel like you need that. Pay that little bit extra money. Get a guarantee in the player that you're going to have. Paulinho, for me, I was checking his injury record before as well. He's never been out for more than 18 days in his career. He's had 3 injuries over his career. He's one of the best, if not a bold statement, but if not one of the best defensive midfielders in the Premier League, the best league in the world. His tackling success rate is phenomenal. I feel as though he's that, like Lucas said, that safety blanket that's going to allow us to build an absolutely monstrous team. And I know this is controversial as well. I feel that if we paired up Paulinho with James Ward-Prowse, that would be an absolutely boss midfield. I feel that is a Europa League winning team right there in that midfield for me.
Well, I'm going to move on from that to this. Onana and Fofana, the newest midfield is linked. Links to unfold. What do you make of them links for them two? Because I want Onana here. I've wanted him for the last year.
I would take either or both.
If you get both, then we are. I'm over me.
I can't really comment on Fofana. I don't particularly watch the French league. I have seen highlight videos, but I don't feel comfortable making a judgment off that. But what I can say, Amadou Onana is an absolutely monstrosity of a player. He bombs forward up the pitch. Ball carrying is superb. Strength, heart, desire, work rate, all there. Just a little bit raw for me. I feel as though if we did get an Onana, you'd have to have somebody like a Paulinho to settle that back line down to allow him to be the best.
He would be the perfect 8 alongside a 6 for me. But then again, we've had this. You've been in the chat. We've had this conversation many a times. It just really depends on how Moyes sees his midfield 3. I don't know if he wants a DM and 2 box-to-box midfielders or 3 8s, like 2 6s. If I've seen people saying we should get Paulinho and Alvarez, that would be absolute dog.
No, you don't do that. No, you don't do that.
Nothing's going up the pitch if we have those two there. Like, I love Paulinho, but he's not the best at progressing.
That would be a true 6 in the back, 7 in the back formation.
The problem is people go back to last year, what happened last year with him. Just let it go. Think of West Ham. If you get Onana in, then you've got someone, A, who can go on to be better than what he actually is at Everton, and B, if it does work out the best, you've got a possible sell-on value there. So I do think he's a quality player. I just think we was hunting him down last year. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, yeah, because if we would have got him, would we have got Paqueta?
No.
Maybe not, right? Maybe not. But there's an opportunity there now, yeah. I think Everton are looking at him and might want to cash in on him.
Because they need the dough.
Because I think it's worth. I think it's definitely worth going for. I've always said it. I've always said it. And if we was to get him, I'd be over the moon. I'd be absolutely over the moon.
Wasn't he put to the bench in sort of Dyche's last couple of games of the season?
He was.
Starter.
He was. He wasn't really a starter, but I do think that with Everton, they're in a sort of they're in a bit of a transitional sort of season this year with Dyche, and basically, I don't think he really fits into their plans. Even though he's a very, very good player, I don't think he's sort of a Dyche player. Do you know what I'm saying?
He's in the same situation as Moyes. He's going to have to play himself into a new contract, but Moyes, I think, Moyes has a bit more leadway.
Yeah,
and obviously credit in the bank, which I know you hate that term, but
I think this needs to be cleared up about Onana as well. I don't see us signing him particularly because I'd imagine Everton would be asking for 55 million, and to miss out on a 33 million deal the year beforehand, you just can't do business like that. I think we'd look a bit stupid, to be honest. But what I must say about Amadou is people think that he actually turned us down solely for Everton. That's not true. We just wouldn't pay his wages. I believe it was just wages, and Everton, as
it was
we
his
all know,
sister.
wages.
Yeah,
in hindsight, it's beautiful because we say that and we were moaning about it last season, but now we've got 3 or 4 players on ridiculous wages. That is just like, what the hell? In my opinion, I'd rather just pay the player. Like, just give him what he wants. That can only benefit us in the end, because if you pay someone what they want, that could give them that extra push.
Especially if it's not like, I mean, if we're going to offer Danny, I think it's only
exactly.
We're going to give Danny Ings 150.
If we're going to pay a backup goalkeeper 120 bags a week, why can we not give Onana 110, 100, 120, whatever?
Yeah,
it's not that. You just got to look at the future, and I just think they just have to go and get the man. I really do. But we move on to this man. Manchester United turned down a loan attempt from Harry Maguire. Tay, what do you make of the links over the last 24 hours with Harry Maguire?
I say shrewd manoeuvring from West Ham. I think that's the best possible deal we could have put out from Maguire is a loan. I mean, he's 30 years old. I don't typically come in with the aging players. My only problem is 30 years old, and he's probably valued at 30 to 35 million. I don't think so. I think from what we've already got and those options at the back, I don't think, and as well the requirements of the squad already in defensive midfielders, another midfielder, say a winger, perhaps a right back, I don't feel we've got the cash to be blowing on Harry Maguire at 35 million.
Great.
I'd rather just have Kera step in, to be honest, and give him a bit more of a go. But that's my personal.
The valuation is the only thing for me. I don't know how to explain this necessarily. I'm not Harry Maguire's biggest fan, but do I think he's a decent player? Yes. I don't think he's as awful as what people say. I think he's actually a pretty versatile defender. I think he's best in sort of a back 3, and I think he's good enough to play in a back 4 outside a club like United, where there's a shit ton of pressure that he has to perform at his best every single week. And the evaluation, that, in my opinion, I can't really respect, because we all know why United are valuing him at 45 million pounds, because they want to get at least half of what they're losing on him. But at the end of the day, it's not a realistic number, because he hasn't proved that he's even 45 million pound. So for me, again, I think he's decent, and I think he would be a good player for West Ham. I think he'd have a bit of a Craig Dawson effect, if you ask me. And just for me, my evaluation, again, I'm no accountant, I'm no scout, I'm no director of football, but I think 30 to 40. I think 40 is fair. 45 is taking the piss.
Not for me. Go on, carry on.
Again, same situation as PALHINHA. I think 30 to 40 is fair, but for us, anything more than 30, I wouldn't do it.
He's definitely not worth half of the value that he got signed for. Not at all. Like, I signed him for 85. He's not worth 40 million or 45 or 42.5 million. I know that's certain. For me, he's worth about 25 to 35 in that bracket. Yeah, all day. Personally, like the loan deal that West Ham went for was the right move because West Ham are thinking to themselves here, yeah, they don't want to get burnt with a player that maybe might not cut it.
Even if he come for a year, it'd be good business. We don't need an obligation to buy him or an option. I think a year on loan at a club like West Ham, Villa, Newcastle, somewhere around that for Harry Maguire would be really good. And he could come back to United on a high note and maybe get back into the side.
I just don't think no one's going to touch him with the wages.
Yeah, no chance.
I really don't. We definitely can't afford to give him.
We're not in that realm of wage structure. Like, who knows if we'll ever see a 200 bag a week player at this club.
I've got to jump off in a second, but I just want to make one more point before I go, James. I quite like. So I feel like your philosophy for me. It's just different philosophies in terms of sort of young players and you thinking of rebuilding a project, and then sort of say me and Lucas and others thinking, we need seniority in the squad. But I feel like like Lucas said, there is a balance and a need for both at times. And for me, that centre back position right now would be much better suited to your philosophy. And go chuck 10, 15 million on a kid, and then say when Zuma inevitably gets injured, chuck him in. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
before you go, could you give us your thoughts on Taylor Harwood-Bellis? Because that's who I would really. If we made that move, I'd adore it.
He's the one, isn't it? You can just see him going to. You can just see him going to. It's always the City youth, isn't it? You can just see him going to like Villa or somewhere like that and just becoming
they're AI. They're AI prospects.
Mate,
that leadership as well. That leadership in the room, yeah.
Manchester City's youth academy, mate. They seem to get these players out of the youth system and sell them for like vast amounts of money. Like, actually,
I mean, for youth players, yes. I mean, the fact that they can just keep selling off academy prospects for 15-20 million pound is a joke.
Oh, it's insane. You just can't get through at that academy. I feel like you enter that academy knowing you're inevitably going to be sold, because you see how good Carlos Borges is. He won't even get
but if you break through, you're different gravy.
Yeah. But I got to jump off, boys, but it was really nice coming on.
No worries,
it was nice speaking to you, mate.
You too, boys.
Take care, be safe.
I agree with what he's saying. The younger sort of mould at West Ham, don't get me wrong. Yeah, and I do agree. Like, you've got to have experience, but then you've also got to have a bit of youth. But for me, someone just said it in the chat there, like, we're very slow in certain positions at West Ham, and that is a bit of a problem.
Because think about it this way, right? Because I know where your head's at and where a lot of people's heads are at. When you just break it down by the numbers, 100 million pound for Rice. Yeah, let's just say that's our budget. If we want to go younger, i.e., everyone really wants Alex Scott, people would love to have Taylor Harwood-Bellis. That right there is almost half of our budget, which to me, it's a risk. But again, I wouldn't hate it. I really want us to keep continuing in Europe.
Yeah. Well, you've got the taste of it. That's the problem. Every West Ham fan's got the taste of success. And one thing with West Ham that we don't normally have is success. We don't have that. So I get it.
It's best for it to just get stripped away from us now.
I know, mate. I know, right? But what it is basically where you sort of where we've seen success now and we've seen the glory. We want to continue that sort of in that mold. But the only problem is you can only do it for so long before it lands flat on your face, sort of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? But let's get into this. Antonio linked to Saudi Arabia. Lucas, talk to me.
Mate, I don't care who it is. Come for all of them. Come for all of them. If Saudi's willing to give us anything over 20 million pound, I'm all for it. Come after anyone. Cornet, Antonio, Ings. Oh, Danny Ings in Saudi Arabia would be jokes, wouldn't it? It'd be jokes.
What do you make of it? Obviously, he's a record goal scorer in the Premier League. for the younger fan base, he is their sort of idol. He's
I
people
love
that
him.
he's, yeah. Um, A, how much do you take for him? And B, who replaces him?
Do you want me to be realistic or what I want? Because let's be honest, he's 33 now, I
Yeah,
believe. Did he just turn 33 or is he going on 34?
I think I'm not too sure, mate. I'm not too sure.
Either or,
Yeah,
a 33-year-old striker at that age, let's be honest, anything over 10 mil, I think is fair because he is older, he's injury prone. I know he just got through about a season and a half injury free, but in a fair world, I think 10 is fair. But because it's Saudi Arabia and the money we've seen them spending, and
yeah.
Michael Blees right here says his market value is 6 million euros. I think it will be because that's how they do it. Anything over 10 is good for me, but since it's Saudi Arabia, I think 20 would be fantastic. 20 funds a future prospect that most people want. That funds an Alex Scott. That funds a Taylor Harwood-Bellis. Like that funds
But
a future.
But the real question is, who would replace him? Because he would need replacing, and you'd need to be replaced with someone who could,
I think
score at least 10 goals in a season.
I think an easy option or move would be Broja because we all know he's been linked for some time now. We all know he fits the mold in which Moyes likes to play. The only concern, obviously, is he's coming off a torn ACL, which it is scary because it's not as scary as an injury as it is in other American sports. Like in American sports, basketball, American football, hockey, you tear an ACL, that is like the worst possible injury you can have. But because these guys are always running and they're literally born to run, they're built to run hard. Like it's really not. It's still a bad injury, of course, but they come back from it faster and better. They may lose a bit of agility, but I haven't really seen a torn ACL ruin someone's career.
Not for 21 though, Lucas. Like, he's 21 years old, Broja, right? And I'll be honest, he will come back. If Angelo Ogbonna can come back and he's 34, 35, Broja definitely can. I would go in for Broja. I'll get him out of Chelsea. Yeah, I think he's definitely worth it as a long-term investment.
Yeah.
If you get him at a decent fee, if you get rid of, say, Mikel Antonio for, let's say, £15 million, and you bring in Broja for, say, 20 million, £5 million for a younger upgrade who, let's be honest, could go on to be a really, really good player if he stays healthy, is the right move.
And I've gotten a lot of comments on Twitter the past couple days, maybe a week or so, because I put out a tweet about what, in my opinion, would be a fantastic window, and people are asking no striker. And ideally, I would like a new striker, but can we really buy a new striker when we have about 4 that are looking to be first-team players? We can't really buy one until one leaves. So, because, I mean, I'm seeing in the chat, I'd rather play Mubama over Antonio. Mubama should
Is he ready, running.
And I am just like any other fan. I crave for a West Ham Academy prospect to rise through the ranks and be the next guy, because that's like, I don't know, as a West Ham fan, that's what I love. Like I want that. I want that again, but I don't think he's ready to take over or have that big of a role yet. I personally, I don't think he even needs to go out on loan. I think if he's fine with playing like in the cup matches, coming on the last 5 minutes to maybe just like press the ball, fresh legs. If he's cool with that, I would love that. But also, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to send him out on loan to a championship club.
I think he needs a loan.
He needs to go to West Ham Academy B, Rotherham.
I understand what people are saying, that he's more than ready. Well, he's more than ready. He's ready for a season in the Championship, and that will harden him up.
And again, we will see if he starts tomorrow at Tottenham, regardless of how strong of a team Tottenham play. That is the sort of pressure I want to see him under. And if he performs against Tottenham tomorrow morning for me, I mean, he could make a case for replacing someone, but it's hard. It's hard to put that kind of pressure. It's hard to put that kind of pressure on someone.
It'll be interesting to see you saying about tomorrow, right? Because we will talk about that also. Yes, it'd be good to see what he's like against Premier League defenders. I hope Tottenham play Premier League, not like reserve defenders or youth players. I hope they play their sort of proper centre halves.
They have a decent academy as well. So whatever they put out, I will respect it to a point. But I just don't want us to put that kind of pressure on him, because look what happened with Odebekio. He
100%
that fell apart, and that fell apart solely because of getting subbed on and then subbed off within 15 minutes.
Don't get me wrong.
Which kills confidence.
Don't get me wrong. Mbamba looks like a good player.
Yeah,
he looks like he looks up for it at West Ham.
I love his attributes. He's one of those players I watch. I seen someone tweet. I can't remember the account, but the way he moves and the way he plays, it does seem he just moves around very easily. He has a good. It seems like he knows the game well. And again, there are so many players that have gone away with playing the Premier League for years upon years because their IQ's high. They move around easy. They don't exert energy when they don't have to. It's all about putting it all together, especially as a striker. You just can't. You just can't be smart and move around well and play striker. You've got to bag goals. You got to create chances and all that. So, me personally, if he's willing to sit the bench, be part of the first team, train with the first team, and get like the League Cup matches, I'm all for it. But if he wants to develop, I would try to look at a championship loan to a club that would really need him. And like I said, West Ham Academy B, Rotherham United.
I'm gonna say this on him. For me, it's a tricky one for me, because on one, it seems like I'm contradicting myself, because I want to bring up bringing youth players or younger players sort of for the future. Now, when I look at him, is it a lot of pressure on him to come in and sort of carry West Ham at his age right now? Like, have you really seen enough of him to go?
And it all depends on him as well, because some people will beg into the pressure, and some will go with the attitude like, oh, you know what? It is what it is. Tomorrow's a new day, which that would be my approach if he were to stay and have like a shit match. Like, you're highly regarded. You had a bad game. You have so much time ahead of your career.
Because what it is, I'll tell you the fear I have with it, is that you got Skamaka, you got Ings, you got Mbamba. Yeah. If Skamaka don't hit the ground running this season, then that's it. He'll be gone. Danny Ings can't be trusted, in my opinion. He just really can't. He ain't gonna. He's a good sort of 18-yard box striker, but that's all he is. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, anything like floating around there, he's all right. And then you've got a young kid who you're sort of putting all your hopes on. Now, if it goes right, he could be like the next Jermaine Defoe. Do you know what I mean? He comes through West Ham and he scores goal after goal after goal.
Let's hope not. I hope he stays longer.
Yeah, obviously, I hope he stays a lot longer. He don't go to Spurs, but you know what I'm saying. Like, but I just think, I don't know. I think it's a one season too early for him. I think really he needs to go out on loan and tear it up somewhere else.
I'm not against a loan outside of England either. I'm actually a huge fan of English players getting loans abroad. I think that really, really helps, because growing up in the English game, you already start to develop English style tendencies. Look at Mason Mount, Jude Bellingham.
But then saying that, look at Jude Bellingham.
Mason Mount went on loan to Venice in the Netherlands. He came back and he's the player he is now. Look at Jude Bellingham. He went to Dortmund, transformed his game a bit, and now he's going to Real Madrid, where he is going to learn from some of the best technical players in the world and coaches. And he will come to the Premier League at some stage. And I'm telling you this right now, because he made that move to Real Madrid, if he does come back to Premier League, he's going to be absolutely mustard, because he's now played in 3 different types of leagues that when you round that all together, he's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Well, I think he's already good. I've got to get to this comment here from Ben, we can always chuck Bowen or Cornet up front, worst case. Now I understand that, don't get me wrong. If it ain't going right, it's a possible problem, isn't it? Like you can always chuck Bowen up there. I don't like Bowen up front. I really don't. I like him as
I
like
don't. Yeah.
the inside forward that he should be. Do you know what I mean? Like the right winger coming in.
The only case I would make for Bowen playing up top is if obviously he had a partner and he would have to do like that Lanzini Paqueta bit where they start on the wing, but they don't cut in, but they come into the middle of the park to link up. If he's fine with bouncing back and forth, and bombing up the flank, could that work? Possibly, but I think he's most dangerous when he's on the wing, cutting in, putting pressure on the back.
See, the thing is with Mbamba, you know he's going to be up for it. See, that's another thing, right? Like you look,
he won't be complacent at all.
He won't be complacent, and he will seize the moment. And like, is he worth the risk? That's the thing. I think you get another striker in, then you keep him here, and you use him for games to develop him here. If you don't get another striker in, I think having him as our third choice striker, it's a lot of pressure, man.
If he's bought into the vision, I think he would be up for it.
I think he is up for it. I just feel it's 1 year too early. I don't know why. I just really do, and like it's just a bit of a. I don't want to ruin the geezer. That's the only thing I will say. I don't want to ruin him. Do you know what I mean? Before I move on to sort of talk about Australia and all that, and obviously Tottenham tomorrow, let's talk about this man. Edison Alvarez leads the race as a new top target. Lucas, you got a bit of stick last night.
Last night, this morning, everyone woke up to the controversy from me.
Mate, I had to block 3 people today because they was giving me shit. And I was like, mate, I'm not having none of it. You're out of here. Good night. What are you saying on this man?
Okay, let me put a disclaimer. Right. Just because I don't like a player doesn't mean if he comes to West Ham, I don't want him to do well. Will I have my opinion that he's not the right signing? Yes, but at the end of the day, if he does come, which does seem likely now, I want him to be fantastic. But I feel like a lot of people, especially on Twitter, and again, Twitter is not a real place. There's a lot of people that they'll disagree with you, but they've never watched the guy play ever. I'm not saying I've watched him a million times, but I've seen him a few times now, and he just leaves me unimpressed, to be honest. Like, could he be a decent DM in the Premier League? Of course he can, but like, I'm just not a fan of his attributes or his profile, really. Like last night, right? So I've seen him against USA and Panama last night in a CONCACAF Gold Cup, which, by the way, CONCACAF, worst referees in the world, absolute corruption. I continue, but and CONCACAF does not have great competitions. Like, he's playing against some really shit sides. Like, Panama is not good, and they were in the final, right? And he just, like, against the USA and Panama, I expect you to stand out and like show something. And for me, in my opinion, Edson Alvarez just doesn't justify the price tag he's at, which is £40 million, £35 million, whatever. I would rather spend the extra £15 million differential to get PALHINHA. But the things I don't like, I think he's a bit of a passenger. He doesn't really turn well. He's a bit of a statue. So if you have him and Souček in the midfield, that is disastrous. He's not that. Not only is he not good on the ball, he doesn't show for the ball. He doesn't look for it. He doesn't look to receive the ball, which is a huge problem.
He's not a ball playing sort of defensive midfielder, is he?
Yeah, and I think he is a. I said an okay defender in my tweet, but I think he's a good defender. He's great in the air. His statistics on soccerreference.com or FBref, whatever, they're really, really good. But at the end of the day, you can't really compare those stats playing in the Eredivisie for Ajax, who 95% of the time are so dominant and always have the ball. And in my opinion, he just doesn't translate to our side or in the Premier League, to my opinion. And I said in my tweet as well, I think if he was a center half, which literally 80 to 90% of his Mexican caps are played as center back, not as a defensive midfielder or midfielder. I actually like his profile more as a center half than a defensive midfielder. But then again, we can't be spending that kind of money on a center back, in my opinion, who's not going to be first choice. But again, I really don't fancy him. I don't think
I've got a question for you, Lucas.
Yeah.
Little question for you. Would you swap Aguerd and Alvarez around? And have Aguerd as your DM and Alvarez as your centre half? Because that's been mentioned. Don't come at me in the chat. It's just someone saying
I would say no, because you're a good ball playing center half doesn't mean you could be a good ball playing defensive midfielder, because that's completely two different types of pressure you're under. So for me, I'd say no. But again, Alvarez for me. And another disclaimer, I have not watched many highlights or YouTube videos of him at Ajax. So my judgment could change. I am never afraid to change my opinion. I don't flip-flop, but I'm not afraid to change my opinion. For the competition he's played against, from I saw against Mexico, and Mexico is a bit on the downturn, but I just expect him against a team like Panama in the USA. I expect someone of his price tag and the hype that he's getting from people to play a lot better and stand out. That's it. He did have one good moment yesterday where he had a block in the box, which turned into a transition, which turned into the match-winning goal for Mexico last night. And again, he didn't even intercept the ball. It was more of a block. He blocked the ball, it ricocheted off him and fell to his teammate. And I'm not saying I want him to be like Rice, but someone like Paulinha, not only does he intercept that, he intercepts it clean, goes forward, and then lays the ball off. He just blocked it, ricocheted off him, and it started the transition. So, again, for me, I need to watch more Ajax film, but the Mexican Alvarez that I've seen, I'm not a fan at all.
Tricky one. Listen, I heard what you just said there. Some of the things you just said.
And one last thing I forgot to say. He's just, also in my opinion, he's positionally inept in the midfield role, in possession and towards the final third. I think his positioning just isn't good.
Thing is, what you just said about Ajax, when Ajax are winning it all in Holland, he's going to look good, isn't he? Because other players around him, look at who was the player who went to Man United? Is it Donny van der Beek? Was it?
Yeah.
Everyone raved about him, said he was going to do wonderful things. Goes to Man United, does nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? I think it's a lot of money for him, but if he does come to England, he does do it for West Ham, then he'll be a very good signing.
And the guy's 25 as well, and people are talking about bringing younger, yada yada yada. He's going to turn 26 soon, so really he's going to be 2 years younger than Paulinha. How much higher can, his ceiling be than Paulinha when you compare the two? That's my only problem. So again, I don't disagree, or I disagree respectfully.
Is he a Premier League player for you, though, Lucas? When you look at him, if you used to just look at the Premier League, how fast the Premier League is, would you say he's a Premier League player?
At this current moment, no. But could he be? Of course. And again, people, the way I would do transfers and get players in, I want players that I think are going to hit the ground running as soon as possible. I don't want a project. And if it takes a year to get settled into a league, that is a bit of a project. Like Paqueta, as good as he is, and I think he's almost a world-class player, he was a bit of a project when we brought him in because he had to get adjusted. And Alvarez, I have no doubt that he has the ability to play in the Premier League. I just don't think he's going to hit the ground running as soon as people want, and then people are going to complain,
and
people are going to slander him, and that's why I'm saying at the current state of this club, we do not need that.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
And that is the thing, one thing you've said there, which a lot of fans need to understand, is whoever we do sign, whoever it is, they have to hit the ground straight away. They have to. You can't wait. You can't give this man time. Do you know what I mean? Whoever the man is, So whether that's Fofana, Onana, PALHINHA, like they have to hit the ground running straight away. Yeah.
You can't mess around with this Rice replacement, whatever you want to call it. You cannot mess around with that. Like Damien said, this Rice replacement has to be at bare minimum top drawer. It's got to be.
I agree, and that is the sort of major sort of thing with me. Like it has to be. If West Ham have to get one signing right this summer, that is the one. Like the DM side of it, whoever it is. Like for me, I'm not on the train with just having the solid DM. I'd rather have a box to box, like because at least I know they can play different roles against different games. Like with a DM, it's just one position, isn't it? Whereas a box to box can do multiple.
And the one
positions.
thing I will give Alvarez credit to as well, he's a bit of a Swiss Army knife. He can play center half. He can play CDM. So he would be useful to us in situations like that. But to end that subject off, I think he'd be more suited as a center half in the Premier League, and because he's so dominant in the air. And like I said, if you want to look at his stats more in depth, I would go on soccerreference.com, fbref.com. They're both the same thing. His stats are fantastic, but you got to take him with a grain of salt. You have to take him with a grain of salt. And I do think his game could translate to the Premier League, but he would not hit the ground running, because if Paqueta can't hit the ground running, the odds are definitely against Alvarez.
100%. So I'm gonna take your word for it. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about tomorrow. West Ham versus Tottenham, all the way over in Australia, and you've got to pay £5 to watch it. What do you make of that?
That's honestly disgusting. A joke. It's a joke, because why wouldn't you do that yesterday? Oh, because it's Perth Glory. I think that's a joke. If you're gonna do that for Tottenham, you might as well do it yesterday. I just think that's an absolute joke. But joke's on them. I'll be watching an illegal stream. They will not be coming after me, so they can suck one. And again, I know it's only £5. All of us have £5, whether we like it or not. It's just the principle.
It is the principle, yeah. It is the principle. I disagree with it completely. I think a friendly game is as good as like.
Come on,
it's behind closed fucking doors, isn't it? Let's be honest. Like, do you know what I mean? You got to pay £5 for the privilege, and what are you expecting tomorrow?
I've said it a few times now. I would really like to see the same 11 we saw against Perth Glory start against Tottenham, because again, I really enjoyed the way we played, and the being adventurous and the youngsters being braver than I expected, and the way they played. I know it's Perth Glory, the competition ain't good, so that's why you got to take it with a grain of salt, and that's why a lot of people that are saying Freddie Potts can come in right away and fill Declan Rice's role, Dan Chester's, blah, blah, blah. In my opinion, if someone, I'm going to use Freddie Potts as an example, because everyone is on the hype train right now, which I don't disagree with or am going to slander, because I'm really indifferent to it. Tomorrow is the type of match, especially with the statement he come out today. I love what he said. He said. Tomorrow's the type of match where he can prove to us and himself that not that he's good enough, but like he could be the one, because it's different doing against Tottenham, that kind of pressure, than Perth Glory. And like I said, whether Tottenham put out a decent side or not, it's Tottenham at the end of the day. It's a big club. Not really, but respectfully, they are a bit of a big club. There's going to be pressure there to perform, and that goes with the same with Mubama as well, with Freddie Potts. If they can do what they did against Tottenham, what they did against Perth Glory, regardless of who Tottenham put out, I think that is a very positive step forward, and that shows me they are up for it, and they could push through.
I'm not really going to take a lot of notice of it tomorrow, really, because they're all the way over in Australia. It's more of a event rather than a game of football for me. Like it's a game of football, but it's more of an event, like over there, Australia and everything. I know more when they go to sort of Leverkusen and I think it's Rennes.
Yeah, but then again, like it's Mubama and Freddie Potts get them really playing those matches, so that's why for me, this Tottenham match it could be their biggest opportunity to prove themselves.
Yeah, 100%. But I look at it that you know if Mubama is going to be there like, or he's going to be loaned. Do you know what I'm saying? Someone said to me the other day that they think he's going to be loaned this season, right? Which it will remain to be seen what happens there. But yeah, tomorrow I'm just gonna I'll obviously observe it and have a look, see what's going on. What I'm expecting is I'm not expecting it to be like an amazing game.
And as a
you know,
football fan, I'm not going to say excited because it's fucking Tottenham, but I am curious to see Ange's style of play. I've heard many intriguing things about the way he plays football, and just as a football fan in general, I would like to see that come into fruition physically and on screen.
yeah, I agree, mate. I gotta get to this. Yeah, someone just put something in the chat, and it's going to be interesting to talk about before we wrap up. Kirkez is going to be massive. Obviously, Kirkez has gone to Bournemouth.
Bournemouth,
Why?
it looks like.
Why the hell did West Ham not go in for this geezer, mate?
Must not have believed in him. So,
No?
I mean, and again, maybe they believe Aaron Cresswell and Emerson can carry us forward the whole season. In my opinion, I think Emerson can carry us more than Cresswell. And again, it's difficult because really, are you going to be able to find someone who's young, good enough to compete with Cresswell? Because obviously, like if you can run up and down the pitch without blowing a gasket, in my opinion, you're already more than halfway there, being better than Cresswell in his current state. But and again, I do love the man. I do love Aaron Cresswell. But it's tough. It's tough. I think the perfect thing to do would bring in someone like Kyle Walker-Peters, because we have 2 left backs, 3 right backs, and one of them can play center half and fill that depth. If you bring in someone like Kyle Walker-Peters who can play right and left back, you kind of solve 2 problems with one signing. Because really, when you think about it, 4 is like your ideal number of fullbacks you want to have. You want to have 2 right backs, 2 left backs. You don't want to have 3 in each position. So 5 is almost the perfect number if one of them can play both.
See, I agree with Trini there. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I agree as well. I would have taken Kirkez as well. I think that was that would have been a decent risk reward for £15.5 million, I think it was.
Yeah, the value that he is, it's worth the risk. It is. It's just worth the risk.
And he's touted by decent clubs. So I mean, if Lazio wanted him, like, again, I know it's 2 different leagues, but like when you have clubs of that prestige that want him, he must have something.
Well, we're going to know about him on the first game of the season, right? Because obviously we've got Bournemouth away, so that's going to be fun. Like, he'll probably go up there and tear it up for them. Do you know what I'm saying? Anything else you want to discuss, Lucas, before we make a move? Anything in your mind?
I don't know how that. I forget the source's name, but he seems to be not a decent source, but he said a few things.
Yeah,
Leon Goretzka has been linked with West Ham. Funny
28,
enough. I don't know how real that is, but he's a world-class player. I don't know how real that is, but sign him up if that's the case. I don't know. Sign him up.
What do you reckon on that? I don't think that's going to happen. I think
it won't happen, but he's a fantastic player. He's a world-class
he's a great
player.
Yeah. Oh, mate, yeah. Like, listen, don't get me wrong. He's a top quality player. Don't go and play for Bayern Munich and Germany. Like, if you're not that good, do you know what I'm saying? But
yeah, I would love it, and we'll be there if he comes. We will be there. But
yeah, we will, mate.
But I don't think that will happen. But I'm excited for tomorrow. I'm a huge preseason guy. Me and Charlie Walsh, we love talking preseason football. I just love seeing the boys in motion and seeing what's to come for the season, different tactics and all that, and the academy boys playing. So I will be there 7 a.m. sharp in the morning watching. I will be there.
Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. I think it's time to wrap it up there. Thank you very much for everyone who's been watching in the chat. Some really good questions and comments in there tonight. I will say that. Please do smash a like on the video and please do subscribe to the channel if you are new around here. Hit the notification bell. You know the drill. You know the drill. We will be back soon. I don't know when. Obviously, a lot of news has come out today. West Ham need to kick into gear. They really do. They need to sort themselves out and basically start making signings official. Do you know what I mean? And like not keep putting those bids in. We all know that they're going to get rejected. It's like the phantom bid thing. Do you know what I mean? But I'm going to keep the faith. 4 weeks to the start of the season, and that will come around pretty quick. Do you know what I'm saying? So let's hope we can get it sorted out there. Anything else, Lucas, for you?
No, I'm good. I hope everyone's safe, everyone's well. I would like to thank everyone that's come in the chat today and hung out with us. Thank you to Tay for coming on and talking to us.
Big up, Tay.
Everyone's participation and viewership is so greatly appreciated. I'll never stop saying it because it truly does mean the world to us. We're now getting consistently over 110, 120 people watching our shows. And again, without you guys, none of this is possible. We would literally just be talking to ourselves, either online by ourselves or in a WhatsApp group, just fighting all the time. So truly your participation, your comments, your attendance for these live shows, live streams are greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Before I go, I'm going to say this, I'm going to start opening it up to people. What I'm going to do is if people want to come on, they can DM me on Twitter. And basically, I want to hear from West Ham fans over the next sort of few weeks in regards of what is going on at the club. If you want to come on, as you say, for a few minutes, come on. Obviously, you're more than welcome to come on here. Do you know what I mean? I like to talk to different fans from all around the world. And I want to hear not just what me and Lucas say, or me, Lucas, Alfie, Mitch, and Tom, and
because we do get boring. We do get boring.
Yeah, like I got told earlier on I talk crap. So if you want to come on and tell me I talk crap, then you're more than welcome to. Do you know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna leave it at that. Have a good Monday evening, and we will see you again in the next one. Take care of yourselves.